Hello everyone, and welcome to Alex's Adventures in English. I'm live today to react to the intro to one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Luke's English Podcasts. Specifically, we're looking at episode 928, The Abduction. I'll be breaking down the first minute or so of the episode and analysing the vocabulary, pronunciation and grammar that Luke uses. The kind of natural English you don't usually find in textbooks. Basically, I want to show you how much you can learn from even the intro to one of his episodes. If you're watching live, feel free to pop your questions or comments in the chat. I'll try and respond as we go. And if you're catching the replay, welcome to you as well. Alright then, shall we dive in? Let's see what Luke's got in store for us in this one. But first, let's have a quick look at the episode description on YouTube, okay? So, what we can see there is the following exactly. Learn English with another short story on Luke's English Podcasts. This one is about a learner of English who has an extraordinary experience. Listen to me, Luke, tell the story and summarize it. Then explain plenty of naturally occurring up-to-date English vocabulary. But what he wrote is, then explain plenty of natural, commonly occurring, up-to-date English vocabulary. And here is the link to the episode page. You can find that on, you can go to teacherluke.co.uk, okay? And here you can get the PDF with transcript and vocabulary notes, which is absolutely great, by the way. And this is the general structure of the episode. You got an introduction, the story, which lasts for about 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, the story summary, and last but not least, the language analysis and vocabulary review. Okay, so now let's play the first minute of the episode and see what we find. Right? So this is going to be quite fun, you know. Let's have fun, shall we?
Hello listeners, welcome back to Luke's English Podcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine.
Okay. So this is the regular greeting we get when we tune in for one of Luke's English podcast episodes. Let's listen to that again, shall we? Okay, so
this is a story.
Let's try and wind that again. Yeah.
Episode, which means that, as usual, I'm going to Hello listeners, welcome back to Luke's English Podcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine.
How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. That's great. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I hope you're doing fine, he says. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine.
So, Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Luke's English podcast.
Welcome back to Luke's English Podcasts. Welcome back to Luke's English Podcasts. That's great. Welcome back to Luke's English Podcasts. Welcome back to Luke's English Podcasts. Listen to that. Great pronunciation. Luke's English Podcasts. And as he usually explains it, this is not podcasts. This is not I don't know how. I mean, people usually mistake or mispronounce the word podcasts. Podcasts. And he usually explains exactly how it should be pronounced, which is great every time he does it. So
How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. So this is a story episode, which means that today. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Luke's English podcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. So this is a story episode. I'll just be reading those lines. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Luke's English podcast.
That.
How are you doing today? I hope you're
Okay.
doing fine.
There we go.
So this is a story episode, which
There we
means that,
go.
as usual, I'm going to tell you a story and
Fix it. Oh, yeah.
then use it to... Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Luke's English podcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. So this is a story episode, which means...
All right. Have a look at that. This is a story episode, he says. This is a story episode. Let's listen to that again.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Luke's English podcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. So this is a story episode, which...
Okay, so that's something... I mean, every time I hear this, I hear him say, I hear him, use a compound noun, I usually get the same reaction. Look at what he says. Let's pay close attention to it. This is a story episode. He doesn't say this is a story episode, but a story episode. Okay? So what am I doing here? Story is a noun, isn't it? I mean, it's a thing, a kind of thing, isn't it? And episode too. So when you get them together, as a unit, when you treat them together, this becomes a compound noun. And compound nouns in English are early stressed, which means that the first element in the unit gets the main accent. So, and actually, story has two syllables, story. So the main accent goes on the stressed syllable, story episode. Okay? So this is a story episode. Let's listen to that again.
Which means... Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Luke's English podcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. So this is a story episode, which...
This is a story episode. And look at that melody. This is a story episode. A story episode. Okay? A story episode. He doesn't say a story episode. He doesn't say a story episode. But a story episode. Okay? So repeat after me. This is a story episode. Great. Very good.
Which means that, as usual, I'm going to tell you a story and then use it to help you learn English.
Okay, so let's have a look at that. That's very interesting.
That, as usual, I'm going to tell you a story. So this is a story episode, which means that, as usual, I'm going to tell you a story and then use it to help you learn English.
Okay. So this seems to be something simple, but it's a kind of structure which is of high frequency in spoken English, and so this is a story episode. Actually, we need a comma there. You won't see that if you have a look at the script, the automatic YouTube script, but actually you do need a comma there. This is a story episode, which means that...
Means that, as usual, I'm going to tell you...
As usual... I'm
you a story, and then this is a story episode, which means that, as usual, I'm going to tell you a
I'm gonna tell you a story. Okay, that's another great bit of English. I'm you'll see that the script says I'm going to tell you a story, but actually he says I'm gonna tell you a story.
story, and then use it to
I'm gonna tell you a story, and then use it to
help you learn English.
help you learn English. Okay? To help you learn English. So this is a story episode, which means that, as usual, I'm going to tell you a story and then use it to help you learn English.
What is going to happen? I tell you a story, and then use it to help you learn English.
So I'm going to tell you a story. Let's listen to that once again.
Means that, as usual, I'm going to tell you a story, and then use. Welcome back to Luke's English podcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. So this is a story episode, which means that, as usual, I'm going to tell you.
Did you notice the pause between episode and which? He says, this is a story episode, which means that, okay, so that's what we do in this kind of structure. And which kind of adds an afterthought. Yeah, an afterthought, you know, some comment you make on something you said previously, which is very useful, okay? Have a look at that. I've just done it myself, which means, again, so you can make a comment on something you said, you know, by using this structure, which means, all right, so what this is actually saying is that the fact that this is a story episode means that, as usual, he was going to tell us a story and then use it to help us learn English. Okay? So that's what it means. And sometimes you'll also hear him say meaning, you know, like this. This is a story episode, meaning that, as usual, I'm going to tell you a story, etc., etc., and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's another a variation. Okay, so this is very useful in spoken English. And as I said before, of high frequency, which means native speakers do it all the time, you know. Okay, let's continue.
You a story, and then use it to help you learn English. What is going to happen is that.
What is going to happen? Look at that. That's absolutely, I mean, I love it. What is going to happen? Let's listen to that again.
Story, and then use it to help you learn English. What is going to happen is.
What is going to happen? What is going to happen? All right. What is going to happen? So he doesn't say what is going to happen, does he? No, he doesn't. He says what. What is going to happen? We call that glottal stop. Okay? What he does at the end of what. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Let's listen to it once again.
Is that first and then use it to help a story.
Okay.
Learn English. What is going to happen is that
What is going to happen?
first I'll read the story to you.
Is that first I'll read the story to you? Is that first I'll read the story to you? Okay. Is that first I'll read the story to you? Okay. Let's rewind that a bit.
You can just English. What is going to happen is that first I'll read the story to you.
Is that okay?
Learn English. What is going to happen is that first I'll
Is the again, glottal stop. Is the first so you get a glottal stop here at the end of the and at the end of what. This is, of course, these are some great examples of how British English is actually spoken, which is something I really love about Luke's English podcast. You can learn, all the time, if you pay careful attention to how he uses English.
I'll read the story to you.
Okay.
Learn English. What is going to happen is that first I'll read the story to you.
I'll read the story to you. I'll read the story to you. Look at the melody. I'll read the story to you. I'll read the story to you. I'll read the story to you. Okay? So I'll read the story to you. It's like he's mentioning the steps he's going to follow, okay, during his episode. What is going to happen? What is going to happen is that first I'll read the story to you, and that's why he uses that rising tone. Okay, we call it a rising tone because we can see that his voice actually does that. It begins. He says, "What is going to happen? What is going to happen is that first I'll read the story to you. Okay, I'll read the story to you. I'll read the story to you." So that sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
You can just try to follow it and understand.
You can just try to follow it. You could just try to follow it.
To happen is that first I'll read the story to you. You can just try to follow it.
You can just try to follow it. You can just try to follow it. Okay? You can just try to follow it. You could just try to follow it. He doesn't say can. Do you notice that? He says, sorry about, I skipped a word. You just can, sorry, no. You can just try to follow it. You can just try to follow it.
And understand everything. And first I'll read the story to you. You can just try to follow it and understand everything.
And understand everything. And understand everything. And understand understand everything? Yeah. All right.
And then afterwards, I'll summarize it just to make sure you've understood the overall meaning of what happened in the story.
Okay. Of what happened in the story. Of what happened in the story. Again. Glottal stop.
Summarize it just to make sure you've understood the overall meaning of what happened in the story.
What happened in the story. So he wants...
I'll summarize it just to make sure you've understood the overall...
Just to make sure, you know, just to make sure that something happened.
Meaning of what happened in the story.
That's a great phrase. Just to make sure, you know, just to make sure you've understood the overall meaning of what happened in the story.
And then I'll go through the story again, line.
Yeah, that's another great expression. I'll go through the story again.
By line. And
line
I will
by
explain
line.
bits of vocabulary as...
Okay, that's something great. I will explain bits of vocabulary. Bits. Let's listen to that again.
And line by line, and I will explain bits of vocabulary.
Bits of vocabulary. Bits of vocabulary.
As we go. There's a...
As we go. As we go. As we go. Listen to that. As we go. As we go.
Lot of English to learn from this story. Lots of you.
There's a lot of English to learn from this story.
Bits of vocabulary as we go. There's a lot of English to learn from this story.
There's a lots of English to learn from this story. Look at that.
Of useful phrases.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about his use of there's a lot of English to learn from this story. Lots of useful phrases.
Regularly used expressions and vocabulary.
Regularly used. Okay, so yeah, so you get the expressions. So we use there's a lot of English to learn from this story. So we say there's a lot of something. Okay, there is a lot of something. That's what he's saying. There is a lot of English to learn from this story. And then he pluralizes lots. He says lots of useful phrases regularly used. Okay? So, singular and plural. Alright. Sounds great. Singular and plural.
Which you could apply to a variety of different contexts.
Okay, again, which you could apply to a variety of different
texts.
Okay, this is great because you can. What he's saying is that you could apply the vocabulary, you know, the useful phrases regularly used, and you know, you could apply all this to a variety of different contexts. So, which means that we can apply all the vocabulary we learn from this episode to a variety of different contexts. Okay? Which means that we learn vocabulary, some kinds of vocabulary, some specific vocabulary as we read, as we listen to the story read by Luke, and then we'll be able to, use that vocabulary outside the story. Maybe in our everyday lives. Or maybe to communicate, to write another story. Or maybe to write, some kind of texts which requires this kind of vocabulary. So that's what he means by saying that. Which is true, of course, because it usually happens that when you learn an expression that appears in a story, then that same expression can be used in a wide variety of contexts, which is, by the way, a great way of learning vocabulary. Actually trying to see in which contexts an expression is actually used, and in that way you get exposed to different contexts where that expression appears and is quite frequently used. And so alright, let's continue.
This is the sort of natural, up-to-date English that is used today.
Okay, let's listen to that again.
This is the sort of natural,
This is the sorts of natural
variety of different contexts. This is the sort of natural,
natural. He doesn't say natural. Natural. I love that pronunciation. It's amazing.
Variety of different contexts. This is the sort of natural, up-to-date
Up-to-date. This is the sort of natural, up-to-date
English that is used today. Presented in a story and then explained by me afterwards. English that is used today, presented in a story.
Can you hear that? Presented. He says presented. He doesn't say presented. That z sound, in presented. That's the way you pronounce that word. Presented in a story.
And then explained by me afterwards.
Afterwards, which means later. Okay?
The story is short. It's about 1,500 words long, something like that, which is...
Okay. Let's have a look at that.
Short. It's about...
So, he says,
explained by me afterwards. The story...
This is a highly frequent hesitator, an expression that the English would use to when they're hesitating, um.
Story is short. It's about
The story is short. It's about, which means it's over, approximately
1,500 words long.
1,500 words long, 1,500 words long.
Something like that, which is short.
Something like that. Okay, that's quite a common expression found in spoken English, because something like that, which means that we're not being specific. Look, here is not being specific. Something like that, I mean, I'm not sure. He's not 100% sure, and in a way, he doesn't want you to quote him on that. So in a way, he's saying, okay, I'm not exactly how long, how many words the story has, but I think that approximately this is how many words it's got. So something like that. I suggest you to listen to Luke's English podcast on a regular basis, as I do, on a regular basis, as I've been doing for a few years now, and I've learned. I think I'm actually quite sure that listening to his podcast has taken my English to the next level, And if you do so, maybe you're already listening to his podcasts, but if you're not, I strongly suggest you to do so. I strongly suggest you to start doing so. That's going to change your English a lot, Just let me check something. So, yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So, if you keep listening to him, yeah. So, if you keep listening to him, as I do on a daily basis, pay attention to these kind of expressions he uses, like something like that, which are which fall under the category of vague language, which means that this is the kind of language used when we're not sure about something we are saying, and we're kind of maybe speaking off the top of our head, and we don't want to commit 100% to what we're saying, so we say or something like that, or or maybe this, that, and the other, or whatever. There are many expressions that I'm not going to discuss right now, but I plan to do so in later episodes. And okay, guys, so that's pretty much the first minute of this episode. So it's a part of the introduction. I've analyzed a part of the introduction. And okay, so if you've got any doubts about this section I've analyzed today, I've discussed a bit in this live reaction video. So if you've got any doubts, leave your comment in the comment section. Leave your comment below. And oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure you said bless you. Yeah, so thank you, guys. And so if you've got any doubts or any comments, leave them in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And anyway, I hope to see you in future live reactions and videos and content like this. I hope you enjoyed it. And okay, now homework. Watch this episode. All right, I'm going to do so because this is, it's going to be a great episode, and I'm really looking forward to listening to it. So then, after you listen to it, you can tell me in the comment section what you think about it, okay? And maybe you can give me some interesting ideas that I can use for future episodes. Okay? So, alright guys, that's all for me. I wish you all the best and hope to see you soon. Alright? Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye guys.